it's so we used to basically not like the genocide, a campaign of terror, threats of violence to force Koreans to move down south. And then when they got there, if they wanted to continue to be communist, we continued to slaughter them until they subscribed to our idea. Also, I wanted to point out we're going to move on to. I have a stream plan. Let me just check it. I think yes, Juche 100 questions is up next. Unless there's any other short videos that people recommend. But Ivan also pointed out the Syngman Rhee regime. Um, there are CIA documents about our campaign in Korea talking about supporting Syngman Rhee, where the CIA acknowledged that he was so incredibly unpopular that if we actually were to unite the Koreas and put Syngman Rhee in charge, that he wouldn't last, that Korea would overthrow him. And so the CIA recommended keeping Korea divided because of how incredibly unpopular he was, and that it was the only way that they could. So that's like also maybe like another thing to think about is like they knew how incredibly unpopular capitalism and this fascist leader was, and still like used different strategies to keep Korea divided and keep it functional to how we want it to be exactly. Like keep it capitalist, keep it subscript to us, and prevent communism from taking over. So this is Juche Idea answer to 100 questions. And this is what we're going to be doing for, I think, the next like chunk of this. I want to read through as much of this as possible. It's 70 pages. And I have a timer set for an hour. Yeah. Hello, Zhig. Welcome in. We're about to start reading. We just watched a couple videos, and we're talking about the context of Korea and why it's important to study Korea. Um, yes, I have to read a lot more on Juche. I have to read and understand a lot more about Korea. It is a big gap in my personal knowledge. I've already learned so much thanks to Larry and thanks to Juche Julia and even to Madeline. The only thing I have read would be like on having a correct understanding of nationalism. Um, I started reading lists a little bit, and I wanted to start here with the reading list because I really enjoy how Principles of Communism is a question and answer format, and this is also a question and answer format. And I think it's really accessible. So we're going to read through this and talk a bit, and then in an hour, we're going to transition to watching clips from loyal citizens in Pyongyang in Seoul, um, which I think I can only watch clips of that. I don't know if I were allowed to watch just the whole thing straight through. I don't know what the rules on that are, but we'll watch clips of it. I'm gonna watch the some bits from the man's interview, I think, because I like that the best. But this is Juche Idea answered 100 questions. It was published in 2012, I guess, so it's fairly recent. If anyone can corroborate that, I would appreciate it. But it doesn't say who actually wrote this. I'm assuming it was written by like committee. If you don't save the VOD, the only thing you gotta worry about is snitches. Copy. Have a link to this? Yeah, I can put a link to this. This is from Korean Friendship Association. There you go. Perfect. So I'm gonna start reading, and then I guess check out chat after each section. I think it'll be useful for me to read each section all at once because I think I do um, want to like use parts of this for clips and stuff like that and post it to TikTok. That's probably the only thing I'm gonna use TikTok for from now on. So it is 12:35 for me right now. I'm gonna start reading, and we will transition at 1:35 or 1:30ish, somewhere in there. Juche idea, answer to 100 questions. What is the Juche idea? The Juche idea is, in a word, one single word, an ideology that the masses of the people are the master of the revolution and construction, and they have the strength to push them. In other words, it is an ideology that man is the master of his destiny and he has the power to carve out his destiny. Um, the idea that the masses of the people, so this is the people, are the master of the revolution and construction. I'm assuming that this means that the masses get to decide what happens after the revolution, that the masses get to choose the whether or not or what shape the state or their identity takes afterwards. But yeah, I would say that's a very easy way of understanding it. I do think it is funny how communists will say in a word and then use 50 words to finish their thought. 2. How was the Juche idea established? Yeah, I think it's in a word, 50 words. We talked about this for when we were reading Principles of Communism, how it was possible that when Engels said in a word, he likely used one or two words and then translating it turned it into 7 or 8. But I think this was maybe just them using a lot of words. How was the Juche idea established? The Juche idea was established by President Kim Il-sung, founding father of Socialist Korea. He set out on the road of struggle to liberate Korea from Japanese military rule, 1905 to 1945, in the mid-1920s, and found the truth that constituted me starting points of the Juche idea in the process of exploring a new path for the Korean Revolution. He established the idea on the basis of experiences and lessons in the revolutionary struggle at the meeting of leading personnel of the Young Communist League and the Anti-Imperialist Youth League held in Kowloon in June Juche 1930. In a word, I usually took to be non-literal, just meaning in short. Yeah, I just think it's funny. I understand what they mean. I just think it's funny to point out. What are the starting points of the Juche idea? One of the starting points of the Juche idea is that the master of the revolution is the popular masses, and the revolution can emerge victorious when they are educated, organized, and mobilized. The other one is that one should carry out the revolution according to one's faith and on one's own responsibility, not with someone's approval or directive, and solve all the problems arising in the revolution in an independent and creative way. In short, 50 pages. Yeah. Starting points again is they're reaffirming that the masses are the master of the revolution, the people are in charge. Dictatorship of the proletariat does not mean there is a dictatorship in the way that it's colloquially used. It means that the people are in charge of the government. In America, we have a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, meaning that the people who own the resources and means of subsistence are the ones who control the society. Welcome in, Tooled Fort Twitch. That's how I read it until I learned that your name was Tooled for Twitch. It's Tooled Fort Twitch. And the other one is that that one should carry out the revolution according to one's faith and on one's own responsibility, not with someone's approval. Is that this I take kind of meaning that if you are a follower of Juche ideology, that you should have a driving responsibility to carry out the revolution and guarantee the revolution, and that you don't need permission to do it. So very feminist that he stood out even in the Red Army. Oh, Kim Il-sung was so handsome and smart. Yes. W. Kim Il-sung. Tooled Fourth Witch. That one feels very lore heavy. 4. How was the Juche idea developed? The Juche idea was developed comprehensively by Kim Jong-il. He defined that the Juche idea mainly consists of the philosophical principle, the socio-historical principle, and the guiding principles. As he systemized the Juche idea into an integral whole and enriched it with profound principles and propositions, it is widely accepted as the great ideology guiding the cause of independence for humankind. This is just, I think, this just says that Kim Jong Il did a really good job developing it. He says that he wrote a lot on the different concepts, the philosophical ideas, the ideas as they relate to, I think, the history of Korea, that's socio-historical principles, and then guiding principles is, I guess, prescriptive. As he systemized the Juche idea into an integral whole and enriched it with profound principles and propositions, it is widely accepted as the great ideology. Yeah, it seems like this says that he just sort of developed it by asking questions and then answering them, and then the people accepted it as the great ideology and guiding cause of independence for humankind, as like the idea that is like the most likely to be liberating for the people. I just never attempted. Remember the color and the two. Oh, the red. Kim Jong Il, less handsome but more smart. Well, that's. I think the getting into questions of handsomeness is going to be subjective, but we are very grateful for Kim Jong Il for developing the Juche ideology. He did a good job on that. Really good job. 5. What does the Juche idea indicate in the philosophical principle? In the philosophical principle, I guess I didn't have to answer all those questions. They answered all of them for me. WDPRK thinkers for thinking of everything for me. That's exactly what I want out of my education. I don't want to have to think. What does the Juche idea indicate in the philosophical program? In the philosophical principle, the Juche idea sheds light on its basic principle and intrinsic features of man and explains his position and role in the world. On the basis of it, it elucidates the man-centered outlook on the world, standpoint, and attitude to the world. So it tells you who you are in the current world and what your position and role is, what you're supposed to be doing. Virgo has the hots for Kim Jong-il. Yeah. That's my what's the word for, that's my hall pass. Kim Jong-il's my hall pass with my husband. We're hoping for some Juche necromancy. What is the fundamental question of philosophy raised by the Juche idea? The Juche idea puts forward man's position and role in the world as the fundamental question of philosophy. As the origin of the world was explained materialistically by Marxism, the Juche idea newly raises the relationship between the world and man, the position and role of man in the world, as the fundamental question of philosophy and gives a scientific answer to it. This makes sense. When you are developing an ideology that is, I guess, different from what is the generally accepted ideology, it helps to be able to be very clear about what the different positions are. Marxism is dialectical materialism and historical materialism, the study of conflict and resolution, contradiction and their eventual resolution. And Juche idea newly raises the relationship between the world and man, the position and role of man in the world. So this is how we interact with society. And asks questions of philosophy and then gives a scientific answer to it using Marxism, which is objective truth, right? Like that's the study of, it's like the study of what happens and the answer to it. Is that correct? Does that sound right? Welcome, Dorian Sapiens. I'm gonna have some coffee.